This is Simplify the Brewer, a brewer that was developed by Bathtub Coffee to simplify the process of brewing coffee. So much so that they have reduced the amount of pours in a pour over to a single pour. I haven't really used it for that long, but I'm a huge fan of simplifying the process of brewing coffee in general, so I believe it has a very relevant place in the market. So in light of keeping things simple, I'm only going to focus on 3 points today. Number 1, what do I like about it? Number 2, what do I not like about it? And number 3, what actually matters? Okay, so what do I like about it? Number 1 is the simplicity. I don't think there is much wrong that you can do in a single pour. Now let me clarify, I don't mean that I love the idea of a single pour. Just the idea of something being reduced to a single pour reduces the amount of things that can go wrong in brewing a pour over. So I'm kind of a fan of that. The next thing that I really like about the Simply Brewer is the heat retention. So the structure of the brewer creates somewhat of a pseudo double wall, as they like to call it, between the filter paper and the brewer itself. So if you can see over there, there's a bit of a wall between the brewer and the filter paper. The filter paper is essentially not coming into contact with the walls of the brewer. This then essentially creates that pseudo double wall and assists with heat retention. The brewer is slightly lifted, which encourages airflow and flow rate. Its staggered internal structure reduces contact between the filter paper and the brewer itself, which then in turn kind of supports this idea of a more consistent flow rate, where the filter paper is not disturbing the flow rate by coming into contact with the sides of the brewer. Now, moving on to some of the things that I do not like. The main thing over here is, and this is kind of in order of what I think is most important, the main thing for me is a uneven saturation of the coffee bed. They encourage you to pour in a single pour in the middle of the brewer. And now, as you can see, as we do that with whatever kettle you might be using, there are spots that are a little bit darker on the surface than other spots. So that indicates an uneven saturation of the coffee and can potentially lead to imbalances in the taste of your coffee. The other thing that I'm not a huge fan of is no blooming. Because the pours have been reduced to a single pour, there is no time for you to bloom. To bloom or not to bloom, I think we're beyond that discussion in specialty coffee right now. There are a ton of benefits to blooming, so I'm a bit sad to see it go. Another thing I'm not a huge fan of is the short brewing times. So in all the coffees I've made with the Simply Brewer, I've only ever hit probably about a minute 30 to a minute 45 at the absolute most in terms of brewing times. And my suspicion is that in order to extend that brewing time a little bit longer, you'll probably have to go significantly finer on your grinder, which is something that I really do not recommend doing for filter coffee. So coming kind of at the last place, or last priority, if you will, is affordability and availability. So in the UK, there aren't a lot of resellers of this device, so it's quite difficult to get. I haven't seen it in different markets, or I haven't looked in different markets, but in the UK, it's relatively difficult to get a hold of. I don't want to say that it's impossible. There are resellers out there. That being said, compared to other similar brewers in this category, it's also not the most expensive brewer in this area. So it's kind of equal parts positive and negative. I'd say the availability makes it slightly less affordable, but in terms of its base price, it's not the most expensive either. So hence why I've kind of put it right towards the bottom of the negatives list. Moving on to what actually matters. If you are someone who is just getting into specialty coffee, learning pour overs, trying to navigate what equipment to buy, what grind size to use, all those questions, and are slightly confused, I think the Simply Brewer is a fantastic place to start for you. The main reason I think this is because it limits the barriers to entry. If you have a bit more experience with pour overs and are looking for an alternative to, say, a Kalita, I would suggest looking at the April Brewer. I don't own one myself just yet, but based on reviews and videos that I've watched, it looks like a great alternative to the Kalita. And there you have it. That is my review of the Simply Brewer. I believe that it is a great alternative to the Kalita. It is a fantastic entry-level piece of equipment when learning how to brew pour overs. And overall, I would recommend purchasing this product, just depending on exactly what you are looking for and how new you are to coffee. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope I've provided you with sufficient information to make the best decision about purchasing this product. Enjoy brewing coffee, and thanks again for watching.